Hey, what's up, everyone? So, yeah, I'm gonna ask people. This will be a long roadside rambling. I'm driving back from my second job, and I'm not gonna have time to do a video tonight. So I thought that, this will be the best chance I get to do a video for you all. So I hope that it works. I got a new cell phone carrier. I don't know how this will work as far as my internet connection. So I'm not gonna mess with it a lot because I am driving. I'm trying to be safe. So, if it's choppy, if it's laggy, I apologize. We'll see what happens, but no clue. I have no clue on this particular drive what my service will be like, but we'll give it a whirl. So hopefully it works out great and you guys can get my thoughts. So yeah, life's been good for me. I'm doing good. I'm doing the two jobs here. Unfortunately, the second job right now isn't paying because it's selling insurance. So by the way, if you need life insurance, hit me up, especially if you're in Pennsylvania, but anywhere I can work with you. So I will be getting an agent number shortly, and then I'll be able to start getting paid for that job, but I'm putting in all the prep work I can to make sure that I'm properly prepared to hit the ground running. So that's why, sadly, I haven't been doing as many videos, because now I'm not just working this 60, 70 hours a week at one job, and my free time I'm trying to work on this other job as well. So I actually had an offer to debate on a panel tonight with some bigger left-wing YouTubers, but sadly, I didn't feel that I would do my audience service without having the proper preparation. I didn't even know what the topics were. So, yeah, I had to turn that down. But that's something I'll be getting to more. And I had someone email me the other day and ask if I will be doing more guests now that I have my new computer. I will be doing more guests. So just let me get settled in. It might be a rough month or two, but let me get settled in once I'm hopefully going back to just having one job, when I transition to the second job, then hopefully that'll give me more free time to be able to do this. And with the selling life insurance, I'll be making my own schedule, so it'll really give me an opportunity. Anyways, enough about me and my stupid life decisions and things that are going on. Let's talk about some of the news. So I had a lot to say here the past couple days, just things I was checking out. I don't know where to start, with Herman Cain or with the election delay. Let's start with Herman Cain. So Herman Cain, conservative, ran for president in 2012, probably had a good shot of winning the Republican nomination had he not been falsely accused in a Me Too smear. Oh, look at that. As soon as he was accused and the election was done, the smear went away. How many times have we seen that? Oh, by the way, just real quick, because of the positioning of my phone and everything, please let me know if the audio is not good enough or anything like that, because I don't want to waste everyone's time if people can't hear me or if I need to speak up. So if you're the one person watching, just let me know if everything's coming through good, if you could hear me, things like that. So audio sounds good. Thank you, tactical technicians. Really appreciate it. So Herman Cain passed away of COVID. So here's the media narrative. He was at the Trump rally and he didn't have a mask on, and now he's dead. Ha ha ha. That's what he deserves. Blood's on Trump's hand. So there's a lot to say about this. The first thing that came to my mind is probably the first thing that came to everyone else's mind, which is how ghoulish can these left-wingers be? They are exactly what they accuse people of in every single instance. They really are. And so they're the ones saying that they're the party of compassion. They're the ideology of compassion, and they care about people. They don't. They hold you in contempt. They hate middle America. They hate working class Americans. They hate you. They hate conservatives, and they are joyful and gleeful at your pain and at your suffering and at your family having to go through a death if you would die. They like that. And it's obvious. All you have to do is to go on Twitter and see this. And it's not just random anonymous people. There are blue checkmark people in the media. Thanks. Thank you. I won't be able to read many of the comments because I'm driving, but I did see that my audio is good. So that's who these people are. So when they talk to you about their moral superiority, or, it's amazing how, you have to give them credit. It is absolutely astonishing how much the left has won the culture war and how they control all of these institutions and control the narrative. Because you could talk to people that lean left, but they're not psychopaths or anything like that. They're average people. They just lean left. And when you talk to them, I had this happen to me the other day. So I start my new job. This honest to goodness happened. And, I'm talking to a person that I'm training with. Seems like a nice guy, and we're just chatting, and it came up that I have a YouTube channel, and someone asked me if I could help them set up a YouTube channel for art, and I was like, yeah, it's not hard. I can help you set that up. And they said, well, what do you have a channel for? And I was like, well, I talk politics. And they were like, oh, you probably get a lot of crap from people. And I was like, yeah, you know, it could happen. And they were like, Trump supporters? I was like, no, not really. Mostly left-wing people. And they're like, oh, why is that? And I was like, well, I'm a Trump supporter. I'm a conservative. I ran as a Republican for Congress. And they talked, and I kind of gave some of my views. And they were like, yeah, we'd vote for you. And then the one guy says to me, he says, you know, I'm just shocked that you're a Republican because you seem like a nice guy. And that's the reaction you get. That's how powerful this narrative is. There are people out there that aren't terrible people that literally say, oh, if you're not a Democrat, if you're not in the left, you're horrible. You're a terrible person. You don't care about people. You don't care if people die. You know, how many times did I have to hear, I didn't care if grandma died when I was talking about being against the lockdowns with the information that was available to us and things like that. You don't care if grandma dies. You don't care. You don't care about immigrants. You don't care about people of color. You don't care about people that don't share your faith. That's a lie. It's all a lie. And the people that are telling that lie the most, there are tons of people that believe that lie, that they're just naive or they're ignorant. But the people that are really pushing that lie, they're the ones who don't care about people. They're the racist. They're the ones that will celebrate and laugh and chortle when someone like Herman Cain dies. They do it all the time. And so please, spare me your faux moral superiority. And it's something that Republicans and conservatives, because, you know, Republican, whatever. I don't even care about the party name. But it's something that conservatives need to learn. Stop ceding the moral high ground. It's ridiculous. When you talk to someone who's not really involved in politics, or, you know, they're just kind of, a little bit paying attention, but they have a life, you know, and good for them. So they're not focused on it because it's depressing. Emotional appeals are effective. Now, the question is it moral to play with someone's emotions? Not necessarily. But if one side's saying, well, here are the facts and why we think you should agree with us, and the other side saying, we're moral, and the other side's immoral, what do you think's more persuasive to a person that's not really following along that closely? They find the moral argument to be very persuasive. And it's time for people on the right to understand, we are morally correct. We are on the side that is morally justified. We're not trying to censor people because they disagree with us. We're not advocating violence against people because they disagree with us. We're not cheering for people's deaths because they disagree with us. That's them. Now, sure, are there people on the right that do things like that? Of course. But not in the level of that we see on the left, and not people of political prominence or that are powerful in our institutions. And that's the difference. When I'm criticizing things, I'm not just criticizing the random anonymous Twitter troll. I fully acknowledge that there are Twitter trolls on the right, the left, in between, apolitical. Of course, you can find Twitter trolls or YouTube trolls or any anonymous account of any political persuasion. What I'm talking about when I'm making these criticisms are known people that have power and influence, such as media professionals, academic professionals, politicians. These are the groups we see on the left, that we see them really pushing racism, defenses of violence, mocking people that they disagree with dying. And that's what's happening with Herman Cain. So that was the first thought that I had with this whole Herman Cain situation. My thoughts and prayers go out to Herman Cain's family. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I'm a scholar of Herman Cain's life. I don't know. He seemed like an interesting candidate to me in 2012. A little too mainstream for me, maybe. But he seemed like a guy who was a decent person. And he was accused of sexual assault, which I never saw proof of. Which magically, just like with so many other people, as soon as the election's done, we never hear about the sexual assault again. So, seemed to be a self-made man. Worked at a place, was CEO or founder of Godfather Pizza, made a lot of money doing that, so, will be missed, and thoughts and prayers out to him and his family. Now, maybe someone's listening's like, oh, Herman Cain, he did this that was bad, maybe, I don't know. I just know a surface level about him. But it's a shame that if you consider yourself a conservative, when you're alive, you have to go through cancel culture, you have to go through the fact that if you wear a Trump hat, you could be beaten. You have to go through the fact that you're considered less than human by one of the major political parties. They hate you. And, oh, by the way, when you die, your family's not even going to be able to properly mourn, because these same establishment people on the left will mock you, will say you deserve to die, etc. So, now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the next thought that I had. And this is something that's even I find very confusing, and I look into this stuff a lot. What's the deal with masks, right? Because the narrative from the establishment left is, oh, Herman Cain, he didn't wear a mask at Trump's rally, and then he got COVID and he's dead. See, that shows you have to wear a mask. It's his fault for not wearing a mask, or it's Trump's fault for having the rally and Herman Cain not wearing a mask. I was under the impression from Dr. Fauci and a bunch of other experts that the mask doesn't protect you. The mask is designed to protect other people. So I heard Scott Adams, who I really recommend following Scott Adams on Periscope or on YouTube. He created Dilbert. He's a really interesting thinker. I would say he's right-wing, but regardless, he's really interesting way of looking at the world, and I really appreciate him. He talks about this with masks. He says, the thing is this. The virus spreads on droplets that comes out of your mouth, like water droplets, right? So while it's true that the virus is so small it could go through a mask, it needs to be on that vehicle of the water droplet, and that droplet isn't small enough to get through the mask. And so it's not 100%, but it could, and he's not claiming that it substantially does, but it could protect other people. But that's not necessarily true unless someone's spitting directly in your face. The mask isn't really doing anything to help if the virus is already out in the ether, it from getting into your mask. It's just stopping the water droplets from getting out of your mask. And that's what we hear from people all the time, right? Because one of the arguments that conservatives correctly make, or not just conservatives, people that are skeptical of the mask, which, by the way, you have every right to be skeptical of the mask, because not only were we specifically told by the Surgeon General and Dr. Fauci and others not to worry about trying to get masks at one point, but then we were told that they had to lie to us, and they've been wrong about so many other things, including, which I'll get to here later, Dr. Fauci refusing again to say that mass protests and riots could help spread the virus. Just today, when Jim Jordan asked him. So I don't blame you if you're skeptical on what their advice is. It's clear that they don't care about saving lives. They care about political power. They care about making people as miserable as possible going into the 2020 election so that it increases their chances of being elected. And when I say they, I do mean Dr. Fauci and the rest of the faux experts that are pretending to be non-political, but they are. But I don't blame people for not wearing masks, because I work in the healthcare field. I try to wear a mask, usually when I'm out, particularly with work, but to each their own. Anyways, one of the things you see people that are skeptical of masks say correctly is, well, wait a minute. Wearing a mask, and it works, then you don't have to worry about getting sick. So who cares? If masks work, and you're in a place with 500 people, you're in Walmart with 500 people, and no one has a mask on but you'll be the one not get sick. Okay, why do you care if other people made the personal choice not to wear a mask? And the answer that's given by the people that are for masks was, at least I thought, well, the mask isn't there to protect you, it's there to protect everyone else. So me wearing a mask doesn't necessarily protect me from coronavirus, but it helps me from spreading it to other people. That's what I thought the argument was. So how are the very people that made that argument then looking at Herman Cain not wearing a mask and saying, oh, that's how he got COVID? It doesn't make sense. The mask wouldn't have protected him anyways. What the mask could have done was stop him from spreading COVID to other people potentially. But if you're Anna Navarro or any of these other people on the left that are celebrating or at least mocking Cain's death, or, using it to say, aha, I told you so, how does it make sense? Please someone show me the science that had he wore a mask, he wouldn't have got COVID. Can anyone show me that science? I don't see it anywhere. That's not even what Dr. Fauci and the CDC say. None of them are saying that. So the entire premise of the attack on Herman Cain is nonsense. Now, there's an argument being made that not only did he not wear a mask, but he was at a Trump rally. And so, see, Trump has blood in his hands. Let me ask you this. If the mayor of Portland, who was just out last week with the riots, and make no mistake about it, it was not peaceful protesting. The mayor of Portland's own police department declared it a riot. So yes, a Democrat mayor of a major city in this country was involved in riots against his own city. Who saw that coming in 2020? But while he was out there with those riots, let's say that he gets corona now and dies. Do you think that the left will find it acceptable to be like, hey, that's what you get, moron, for being out there? You probably caught the disease when you weren't social distancing properly. Do you think that the left would be cool if we say everybody who's involved in Black Lives Matter, if they die of COVID, we say, oh, you all had it coming. That's what you get for marching. They'll say, no, there's no proof that they got it at those marches, at those riots. There's no proof at all. And besides, those riots were for a good cause. Fighting racism. That's what the riots are about, they lie and say. That's how ghoulish they are, though. They can't wait to politicize someone's death. And that brings me to the next point about this. Do you think that Herman Cain will have the funeral service that John Lewis or George Floyd had? Why is it that if my grandma dies, I can't go mourn her properly in a funeral, but if John Lewis dies, all of these people who supposedly are important figures to our country, some of the most influential people in this country, so to lose them of COVID would be potentially a very bad thing, right? All of them could show up to a funeral, all indoors, packed shoulder to shoulder, with singing, with praising. Many states you can't go to church and sing, but if you're there for John Lewis, no problem. And this is what I'm talking about. I'm sick and tired of this argument. We saw it with the Chicago mayor saying, yes, you can't go get your hair cut, but I can because I care about my hygiene and I'm important. We saw it with the mayor in DC saying she's going to start fining people $1,000 for not wearing masks in all sorts of places, including in your own home potentially. But exempt from that is the mayor herself and her staff. I don't know what's going on. I might have to end it at some point because my phone's overheating. Sorry about that. Sorry that I lost you. Yeah, phone overheated. Whoopee! Anyways, I'll go as long as I can, but if it goes off again, that's what happened. Anyways, so how long must we listen to these people say that it's rules for us and for them? It's ridiculous. And this is constantly the case with them. How many times have I said it in my show? Open borders for us, gated communities for them. No firearms for us, armed security guards for them. No police for us, security for them. Third lake houses for them, but we get criticized if we're making over $67,000 a year, which I would love to be making, which I've never made my entire life. It's just absolute garbage. And the human cost to pretend that somehow John Lewis's life mattered more, that so yeah, I don't know. We'll see if this overheating problem is going to persist. But that's what we see. So I have more on Herman Cain and what's going on there, but I'll just, because of my phone issues here, we'll just move on. So I did want to briefly talk about Dr. Fauci testifying today and what little I saw of it with Jim Jordan. So Jim Jordan asks a real simple question. Can being involved in protests spread the virus? And Fauci can't answer. Fauci ends up mealy-mouthing around and saying, well, I certainly don't want to tell people what they can do or restrict what they can do. That's a lie. Dr. Fauci doesn't have a problem telling you can't send your kids to school. He doesn't have a problem telling you can't go out to a concert or a sporting event. He doesn't have a problem recommending that you not be allowed to go out on the beach. He doesn't have a problem recommending that you not be allowed to attend funeral services or weddings and things like that. He had no problem telling us that. But as soon as it comes to a left-wing political cause, oh, I don't want to step on their toes. Fauci is just like all the other medical experts that claim, oh, you can't go to work. On over here. When an expert that you're told that you have to rely on without question is so nakedly politically partisan, then you should not listen to anything they say. That doesn't mean that what they're saying couldn't be true. Masks could be effective. They could be. I'm not taking statement on that one way or another. What I'm saying is I'm not going to trust Dr. Fauci's word with it, nor am I going to trust the CDC and the members that said, oh, actually, COVID's bad and it could kill millions of us. But you know what's worse? White supremacy. Sorry, I don't buy it. Any physician, any medical expert that's out there saying that you can't go to the beach with your family, but 100,000 people could protest George Floyd's death is full of it. They're absolutely full of it. And the fact that, look up that clip. How hard is it to answer? You're the premier doctor, the face of the fight against COVID, and you can't answer a simple question of, does going out and engaging in mass protests spread the virus? You can't answer that? What good are you? Fauci's more concerned with getting his photo cover in InStyle magazine and taking his mask off at ball games, going out and doing the things that he's telling you can't do. That's what Fauci wants to do. Again, I'm not saying COVID doesn't exist. It's real. It's killed people. The question is, how bad is it, and what is the response to it? And the response by these people is nakedly partisan, and it is designed to obtain political power. That's all it is. I don't care what excuse they give you. I don't care who's telling you. If they say, oh, but it's really important to protest racism, that's really important. Oh, the virus doesn't spread through those sorts of protests. No, it only spreads through Trump rallies. That's the only sort of rally it'll spread through. They're lying to you. Oh, but no, everyone has masks on at Black Lives Matter protests. No, they don't. I could show you dozens of gatherings in the name of Black Lives Matter where you can see many people not wearing masks. And even if it's true, didn't we just get done saying that the masks aren't the end-all be-all? If all you need is a mask to open up, great, open the economy up. Let's go back to normal, except you have to wear a mask. Let's do it. Oh, wait, that's not good enough. Now Fauci says we need goggles to go with our masks. Meanwhile, he's still saying that the model state that we should look at is New York City, or New York, which was the second worst state per capita for deaths from COVID. So instead of looking at a state that had almost no one die, we should look at New York. That's the model Dr. Fauci recommends. With, their stellar policies of, sending people to nursing homes that were infected, thereby creating death camps in nursing homes for the most vulnerable populations, which led to over 70% of the deaths in that state being from nursing homes. And by the way, going back to the Herman Cain thing for a minute, if Trump's got blood on his hands for having a rally that Herman Cain chose to attend, and even if we could prove that's where he got COVID, if that's blood on Trump's hands, then where are those same people talking about blood on the hands of people like Tom Wolf or Cuomo and these other governors that sent COVID patients to nursing homes? They don't care. They don't care about the tens of thousands of elderly people that died in nursing homes as a result of their policies. Just silence. But they have the nerve to say somehow Trump's to blame for Herman Cain voluntarily attending I'm sorry, that's life. Anytime you leave your house, there's some risk involved. We have no proof that's what Herman Cain came in contact with COVID whatsoever. And even if it was a choice he made. He should be allowed to make that choice. But they're so gleeful that he died, aren't they? So yeah, Fauci's a joke too. Now, I wanted to get to this big news story on Trump talking about potentially delaying the elections. Now, let me be clear right up front. First off, you should be considered lucky to watch a great content creator such as myself, whose predictions or suggestions ends up coming to true so often. I'm just joking. I did say months ago, I said this in March. I was the first person I heard say this. Trump should come out and say, okay, we're delaying the elections. Because you heard the left start to say, oh, Trump might try to delay the elections because of COVID. Oh, he might try to. And the point I made, which holds true today, is think of the things that they're saying you have to sacrifice because of COVID. Your job, any entertainment you have, going to funerals and weddings of your loved ones, sending your children to school, all of that stuff. Not only is it basic fundamental rights you have in your Bill of Rights protections, but it's also just things that make your life meaningful and make your life able to continue. Being able to pay your bills, being able to spend times with loved ones in their time of extreme happiness or time of extreme sadness, whether it be a wedding or a funeral. Those things are the things that help make life worth living. And we have to sacrifice all of that. We have to. Without question. And if you question it, you're a bad person that wants people to die. But as soon as you're like, well, if it's that serious, I guess we shouldn't go to polling places, right? We shouldn't be voting then if that's that serious. All of a sudden the tune changes, just like, that would be tyranny. Oh my God, you can't do that. That's tyrannical. That's authoritarian. That's people's rights to vote. You have the right to vote. So what they're really saying is this. We don't give two hoots about your rights. We don't care if you have to live in poverty and could never work again. We don't care if you lose your mortgage because we said you couldn't go to work. We don't care if your family dies and you can't go to the funeral. None of that matters. It's less important than us potentially winning an election. That's the important thing. That's the thing that matters most. Now, they don't say it like that. They couch it in terms of, oh,